This is a review of the Creative Pebble version 3 computer speaker. Excuse the intro, a lawn bowl is the best way I can think to describe the size and shape of these things. Kia ora, Daniel here with an honest, no BS review of the Pebble V3 speakers. Up front, let me just say I'm not a tech reviewer, that's not what this channel's about, or is it? I'm just an average consumer giving my average thoughts on a probably pretty average YouTube video. It's just I couldn't find too many reviews before picking up a set of these myself, so after a couple of months of using them as my main computer speakers, mostly for listening to music, video calls and video editing, thought I'd share my own thoughts if you're looking to pick up a pair for yourself. First thing, make sure you're looking at the right product. As of right now, there is still the version 1, version 2, version 2 Plus and version 3 all available for sale on Amazon. The design of these is pretty much the same with only a few subtle differences, but the products themselves are quite different. I very nearly bought the V2 from Amazon, not even realizing there was a version 3 out, which I found through Creative's own website. It's worth noting the V2 Plus comes with a separate subwoofer, if that's your thing, but from what I understand it's not great. So I bought mine directly through Creative's website, got a good deal on them too, and I'm constantly seeing them discounted on Amazon, and therein lies one of the biggest selling points of these speakers. They are phenomenal value for money. A few days after ordering, I got an email from Creative with a ton of information about setting them up, I guess preempting questions people might have about connectivity and the lack of a mains power cord, which I will get to. But I did think that was a nice touch, something to look at while you're waiting for them to arrive in the mail. They arrived. I obviously can't do an unboxing because I've had them for a while, but I tell you they were well packaged, standard stuff, a bit of paperwork, cables, and the speakers themselves. Admittedly, they are a little bit bigger than I expected. I had watched a few video reviews of the version 2 and the version 1. I believe they're the same size, but I was expecting them to be smaller. Not a bad thing, but just want to give the example of a lawn bowl to give you an idea of the size of them. Everyone's held a lawn bowl, right? Nikki. Have you ever been bowling?
Like in a bowling alley?
No, like lawn bowls. You know, like
No.
old people and stuff.
No.
Have you ever held a lawn bowl?
No.
Do you know roughly how big a lawn bowl is? Have you seen it like in the Olympics or whatever?
Is it like a shot put?
No, it's bigger than a shot put.
Oh.
Maybe it's a bad example. Likenesses aside, I do think they look great. They are a unique shape, they're minimalist, they're pretty unobtrusive. I think they blend in well to my desk setup. I was kind of worried that the slant was going to catch lots of dust, but it hasn't seemed to. But this is a pretty dust-free room. I mean, I've got a fluffy-ass cat. I have to hoover like every other day. Wait. Another thing I quite like about these speakers is how they are powered. Though I imagine it could confuse some people, which is probably why they send that email out before they arrive. In a move straight out of Apple's playbook, they don't come with a power brick or anything, just a USB-C cable, which is hardwired in there, and it also does come with a USB-C to USB-A adapter. Personally, I quite like that. I plug them straight in the back of my iMac, gives them plenty of power, a quick tinker in the settings, and that's them wired up for sound too. Got to make a mention of the connectivity. They have Bluetooth 5.0, which is crazy easy to connect to, as well as an auxiliary in. You can switch between all three modes, so that's USB-C, Bluetooth, aux in, by pressing the Bluetooth button, pretty easy, and the light color changes depending on the mode you're using. For me, I don't really have much of a use for the Bluetooth because I have it wired USB-C to my computer, which powers it and runs the sound. If my computer's switched off, that means they're not powered, and that's the only time I'd ever want to use my phone or whatever for Bluetooth. If I was doing, I don't know, yoga in here or something. But that's just a quirk of my setup and not necessarily a big deal at all. Where it probably gets a little confusing for some people, myself included, is with this switch on the bottom, which puts it between low gain and high gain mode. Now, without going too much into the numbers, what you need to know is to get the best out of these speakers, you need to give them enough juice. Between them, they can put out 8 watts of power, but only in high gain mode and only when they're plugged into a decent power source, such as, for example, a 10 watt USB-C out on an iMac or a 5 volt 2 amp power brick. You You plug these into a standard iPhone wall charger, for example, RIP, that's not going to give the Pebbles what they need to run at their best. They won't be as loud, and in my opinion, the sound quality takes a hit too. If you buy some and you find that they don't sound as good as you expected, first check that you're giving them enough power, check the switch is on the right mode, and then if they still don't sound the way you hoped, just remember they are budget speakers. So let's talk about that. We can blather about connectivity and design all day, but these are speakers. So how do they sound? First, let's circle back and remember that these are budget-friendly speakers. Don't go in expecting to have your mind blown. That said, I was pleasantly surprised. They're way louder than I expected and way louder than I need. I have them set on half volume on the speaker and never go much louder than half volume on my computer. So we can do a wee audio test. Just mind this is recorded on a Rode Video Micro, so take from that what you will. Put the speakers on half volume. Play a wee track, and we'll just turn that up to half volume on the iMac. So that's pretty comfortable listening volume for me. You can obviously go louder on both. And that's considerably louder than I needed in this room. And that was about 60% volume on the speaker, about 80% on the computer. Gets pretty loud. They have a decent wee bassy thud, but nothing like what you'd get from a dedicated subwoofer, obviously. The highs are really crisp, and the clear dialogue audio processing that they come with really does bring out the mids pretty well, though I do find that on some songs, a good example being Anderson .Paak's 6 Summers, the mids and the bass almost seem to compete with one another. For a small speaker, they pack a punch, and the quality is pretty good too. Miles better than you'd get from your computer speaker, but they are still a small speaker. In summary, I do like them a lot. The design, it works for me. I like the compact size and shape. They look great on my desk. The cable and power situation is super straightforward if you have a newer computer or a solid source of power. If you're running something older and can't give them the juice that they require, you probably won't be quite as impressed. And the sound is surprisingly good and powerful, especially given the size of the speakers and their price tag. Ultimately, it's that last part that will sell lots of these, and probably why the V1 and V2 have been so popular. For what you pay versus what you get, these are a steal. And if you've picked some up, either before or after watching this review, I'd love to know your thoughts. Did they live up to your expectations, or did they leave you a little disappointed? Drop a note in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, I'd love if you could give it a like. But that's it from me for now. Thanks for watching. We're on the Mortlach 20 today, Slancher. It tastes old. Back to the green.